Hi there, this is Victorian Reviewer, and I'm doing the Legend of Korra Season 4, Episode 4, The Calling. This episode, The Legend of Korra, takes a step backwards from the world issue of Kuvira's threat and focuses on Korra, or rather the journey to find her. Starting off, we see Tenzin's children, Jinora, Milo, and Ikki. I find it quite amusing to see the three siblings fight over basic needs, and the problem Ikki faces as being the middle child. I only have an older sister, so I can't really connect to being a middle child, but I think it's similar to how annoying it could be to be disregarded when you wish to help. I also made this connection that Korra had three main villains from the past 3 seasons, and it took 3 people to find her. Ikki was a frustration from Season 1, when Korra was learning how to airbend. The bad child of the series was Milo. When I saw him eat those berries and get ill, yeah, Season 2. And his strict harshness resembled in Jinora's attitude, resembling when Korra wished to see the Air Nation come together. I'm not sure this was intentional, but that's what I took from it. The lead, the man that took the picture of Korra, was helpful, and eventually, after encountering Kuvira's men, they are led to Korra. But continue with Korra's spiritual journey, she is encountered with visions due to the spiritual qualities of the swamp. She sees the despair in having her bending taken away, the emptiness of having Rava ripped from her, and being brutally poisoned by Zahir. What I understand is just the visions of these villains she has already defeated leave her feeling lost. When you take into consideration, the Zahir battle happened 3 years ago. I believe Unalaq happened 4 years ago. And Amon, let's just roughly guesstimate here, it took 5 years. Five years in total all this drama has happened. And she has beaten these people, but they still leave her feeling lost. And it's quite astonishing once you think about it. And when Toph finds Korra, she quite amusingly remarks that she figured something like this would happen when she asked Korra to pick mushrooms. This leads to Toph quite incredibly recounting all of Korra's enemies in the past, and which each villain strived for, making a nice recap of what Korra has faced, and also showing how connected to the world Toph is. Amon wished for equality, a world without bending. Unalaq wished to free the spirits, as Zahir believed disorder was the natural order of things. What I love is the fact Toph doesn't fault these people for their beliefs, only the fact that their belief became some distorted, extremist point of view, making it corrupt. On a personal note, I was actually on board with Amon's idea of unfairness to non-benders, and how benders, not all benders, but how a certain amount of benders will use their power over non-benders. Would I want him to take everyone's bending away? No. But I agree that something should have been done to protect non-benders, and Toph understands that certain people feel certain ways, but he just shouldn't take it to the extreme. And Toph also continues that telling Korra that her fear shouldn't guide her, and that these battles were in the past. When she still doesn't connect to what Toph is saying, Toph takes Korra to the Banyo Grove tree. I find it ironic that Aang found Toph through the swamp, and this time Toph helps the Avatar find herself. So in a way, Toph found Aang this time. She calls Korra out too, about disconnecting from the people she really loves, and that care about her, and that she isn't alone through all her sadness, even if it does feel that way. It is when Jinora, Ikki, and Mila find Korra, you see the tears in her eyes. Like, I was happy, because she just looks so relieved seeing someone that she cares about, and that care about her, too. By just seeing someone she cares about brings such happiness, and fills this void of her fear with what I think is love. With a touching reunion, we see Toph smile at Milo for remarking her as a cranky, old, and blind, making the assumption she must be their grandpa's friend. It is when the connection of these 3 children, Korra feels ready to go home. Now, taking the poison out on her own, Korra begins to feel the fear of her battle with Zahir. And take in mind, this battle happened 3 whole years ago, and it still leaves a chilling impact on her, rightfully so. But Toph firmly reminds her that this is an old battle. How can she fight a new threat when she's still fighting an old battle? Moving on with her strength, Korra quite literally gets rid of her fear from the past, making a heartwarming ending but the looming threat of Kuvira. Now, I made a personal connection with Korra these past 4 episodes. And I'm not here to tell you my sob story or like getting sympathy or whatever, but I was ill with a disease for 6 months, and it left me unable to do the activity I loved the most. I spent years perfecting my technique, training, and I put so much hard work into it. And when I got sick, I tried to keep positive, but I felt the same frustration Cora did, wondering, why me? What did I do wrong? And Cora wondering what she'll find through her suffering. And back past episodes, when Cora was talking to Katara said quite strongly that Aang found a reason for his suffering and he learned something from it. Like, what did he gain through his suffering? And then Cora asks, what will I gain? And Katara, she says, I don't know, but wouldn't it be interesting to find out? I never took it that way. I mean, I'm really glad because I never realized that till now. And you could go into consideration that Korra, she used to being on top. She spent a long time training, and she's wondering if she would ever recover. I mean, I was lucky. I had 2 awesome people in my life that helped me, but even now, I still struggle with some things. But the problems Korra have, they're ones I have too, or had in a sense. And I connect to Korra, no offense, far better than I did Aang. I really do connect to Korra way better than Aang. Maybe it's just a personal connection, or maybe it's the fact that in season 4 they humanize her so much. Now, I can't necessarily metal bend the effects of my disease, but I can remember that the battle is over, and that you can't get a thing but misery when you keep on reliving all these battles over and over and over again. A person may be lost in what ails them, but they could always be found. And Korra, she was found. And this episode's called The Calling, that maybe that you have to let go of your fear to figure out, to hear that calling. And I was just so happy when she had her avatar state back. I really was. Now, I saw the sneak preview for the trailer, the sneak preview for next week's episode with Kuvira's army on the run, on a threat. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes down, and I believe the Avatar will be back next episode. Well, thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to comment or visit my website. It's called victorianreviewer.weebly.com. And when you first find the homepage, click television, because that's where the Legend of Korra stuff is. And on my website, I'm not like advertising to get more like popularity or attention. It's just I have a more detailed written analysis of what I thought of the episode. So please feel free to visit it. And thank you so much for listening.